Fates is now 2 years old in America. Really, Nintendo? 11 months? But despite its ridiculous story, blatant fan service, and one-note characters,
our love is stronger than the world's most pungent pickle.
I would still say it's a pretty solid game. But we're not here to evaluate the characters or the game itself. I am Vthepizzaboy, and this is the cut or changed content Fire Emblem Fates. So this technically isn't cut content, but I still thought it was interesting. Both Niles and Perry have their eyes obstructed by an eye patch and hair respectively, but they still have an eye underneath it. Niles' eye is closed, while Perry has a green eye under her hair. Kinda insignificant compared to the stuff we're going to be talking about soon. There may be evidence in the files that suggests Lilith was at one point a playable unit, at least she could attack. I'd like to say before starting this segment that I have not played any of the story DLCs, only Royal Royale and Heirs of Fate, so I don't know if Lilith was playable during any other DLCs. So, in the files there are two pictures, one of her in her human form and smiling, and another of her looking more serious. These are critical portraits. My theory on these is that they were going to be used in one of the DLCs, or maybe in Revelations, since she did survive through the whole path. An interesting thing to point out is that the sort of frilly things on her shoulders are missing, indicating that these pictures could be from an earlier stage of development. A small thing found in the code is Mire from Awakening. If you don't remember, Mire was dark magic that a lot of enemy units would get during the final act of Awakening. It made these maps pretty challenging since the mages would be able to snipe your units while also completely staying out of their range, so I'm personally glad it wasn't carried over to Fates. There's also something called Promise Seals, which is most likely just an earlier version of an already existing seal, like Master Seals or Partner Seals. So this is really interesting. Both Izana and Scarlet have text during the end credits for Revelations, even though they died before reaching Vala. Scarlet's endings are the same from Birthright, both paired and unpaired, but Izana's are different. Izana's unpaired ending is exactly the same from Birthright and Conquest. He also has a generic paired ending, even though he can only be married to the Avatar. This says, Izana returned to Izuma and continued hosting great banquets and feasts for neighboring royals. The thing that stands out the most is his unique ending if married to the Avatar. It says, Izana gave up his Izumo for Vala and quickly became the kingdom's most famous socialite. Gunther also has a paired ending, but it is the same as his from Conquest. There's voice files of male Kana calling for Leo, Elise, Takumi, and Sakura. There's actually a possibility that this could be voice 3 for the male avatar, as the Japanese version and the female avatar both have Kana voice 3. There are many dummy or test files still in the game, some things that I choose not to go over. So this is the end of the unused content. But this isn't the end of the video. Fire Emblem Fates is infamous for having censorship and other drastic changes throughout other regions, so we'll be looking at that now. In the Japanese version, the avatar had 5 voices per gender, with 10 being the total. For the international version, however, there are only 3 per gender, with a total of 6. On the topic of the avatar, each of the voices had a different way of speaking, ranging from formal to informal. The original release of the game was possible to move the camera around the hot springs. This is removed from all other versions. The next thing that we cut from the Japanese version, the bathing suits. In the last tab of the accessory shop, there was only the bathtub. This is because in the original version, there are multiple bathing suits. There were the flower swimsuit, the darkness robe, the South swimsuit, and the Toga of Love, which still exist in the game files, can be hacked in. Personally, if it was in the game, I probably wouldn't have used them anyways. Probably wouldn't have cared that much when they removed it. But what I didn't like was that the game took half a year to come out in North America and 11 months to come out in Europe. If it meant the game came out earlier, then it should have just stayed in the game. Now for the most controversial thing that was removed from the game. If you were following the game before its release, then you no doubt already know about this feature. This is a little mini game called Skinship. Skinship is a mini game very similar to Pokemon and Me from Pokemon X and Y, where you invite people over to your private quarters and drag the stylus across the person's face, a touchscreen to simulate tickling. I remember people going insane after Nintendo announced that this would be removed. Personally, I don't really miss it. After playing the game and hearing the same people say the same things every time, I ended up just skipping what they said. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It took me a while to do, and I'd like you guys to, just leave some comments down below to say things I need to improve on. Make sure to subscribe. I'm thinking of doing a let's play of maybe genealogy, but I am a student, so daily uploads are probably not likely for me. But yeah, thanks.